program for graduate studies at Charles Darwin University. Hello, I'm Tara Brabazon, and I'm the Dean of Graduate Studies at Charles Darwin University. Welcome to this Touchstone Endings session, selecting examiners, and it probably doesn't get more important than this. Research higher degrees involve an array of policies and procedures, governance matters, regulation matters, quality assurance matters, but the art and craft of doctoral candidatures emerges through the examination. Examination is the moment in doctoral education. It determines the success of our students. It also determines the reputation of our universities. So it matters a lot. So today's Touchstone session involves some ideas for your consideration about the selection of examiners. And we start with compliance matters and then move to excellence models and modes in the selection of our examiners for CDU. And so I'm presenting 7 maxims for your consideration today. 1. Examiners must not maintain a current professional relationship with any member of the supervisory team or the student. Examiners must be independent, and that means they cannot maintain a professional relationship with you because that may impact on their independence and their impartiality. We have proxies for this impartiality. You must not have written with your examiner in the last 5 years. You must not have held a grant with your examiner in the last 5 years. And these are easy professional relationships to track. The other relationships occur if you've worked with your examiner in a previous job. Or obviously, and this does happen, supervisors make a decision to pick their former supervisors or indeed students. And yes, that's a conflict of interest. Maxim 2. Examiners and supervisors must not have personal relationships. This can be a close friendship, social relationships, sexual relationships. If the relationship has an intimacy in some form, then of course the person just can't be an examiner. And as a word of warning, I have seen a supervisor pick what he thought was a very, very close friend as an examiner, and I saw that supposed friend savage a student in an oral examination because they really, really weren't friends. 3. Be international. At its best, the higher degree is a global qualification, and we need to ensure that quality assurance is in place. One of the gifts, I think, of Charles Darwin University at the moment, not having an oral examination, is that we can select examiners from anywhere in the world. And I will never understand when we can choose the best scholars in the world that our colleagues continue to select somebody from Northern Australia, or indeed Australia more generally. We can choose examiners from anywhere. Why would you tend to choose somebody from Australia? Question for your consideration. So please, 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 I'd ask that we respect and acknowledge this remarkable global higher education system and allow our students to stretch out to the world through that examination. 4. Go senior in your selection. Now, as you know, I'm an enormous believer, a big believer in supporting early career and mid-career researchers, in all parts of academic life, and that includes examination. But the problem we've got is that when we select examiners, there are only a very, very few number of them. So when I could use 3 or 4 examiners in the old days, I would always include an early career scholar. But if we've got a very small number of examiners, then even one dodgy result can have a profound consequence on a student. So the research shows that the more inexperienced the scholar, the harder they are as an examiner. And there are many reasons for that, and it has been studied, but one of the key reasons is they have not got the range of theses in their experience to know what is required for a pass. So what is the standard for a pass? Because the early career researchers only have a field of one. They have their own thesis. So therefore, experienced supervisors, experienced examiners, senior scholars know the context of higher degrees and understand the standards required. 5, recognise the paradox of geography. Here we go. The toughest examiners in the world are, do you know? New Zealanders. The second toughest examiners in the world are Australians. There are many reasons for that. One is, I believe, that these were the two nations that came very late to oral examinations and, of course, therefore then rarely conduct oral examinations in other nations. And so they don't, at its most basic, get that on-the-job training in and by other nations. The most favourable examiners are from North America, the United States and Canada, obviously. So, as I always say, watch the combination of geography and seniority. And as early career researchers from Australia and New Zealand, if that's what you're selecting, early career researchers from Australia and New Zealand, you need to remember that that's a pretty challenging selection. Maxim 6. Expertise is everything, but watch extreme closeness to the topic. Expertise is everything in a PhD and a research master's examination, but the one area that I watch, particularly in very, very small fields, and often can I say those small fields are pretty ruthless, is that examiners eat their own young in their discipline. So if they can stop the development or hamper the development of great students, they will. So I always respect the scholars who can move around a bit in disciplinary terms. Examiners absolutely need expertise, but we have to make sure that they're not so close to the topic that they have this terminal pickiness. And 7, digitally stalk your examiners. And please note, I did say digitally stalk, not stalking more generally. My first most important foundational task when I'm selecting an examiner is to make sure that they are a decent and ethical person. And I look for all sorts of proxies. And yes, I go through Twitter, I go through Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram, and I search through blogs looking for their name. And yes, I have found some remarkable things. Wow, through those searches. So what we need in an examiner is a decent and an ethical person. And I think we all know some truly brilliant scholars that are absolutely dreadful human beings. So the unpredictability of the dreadful humans makes them really problematic to examine. So I thank you so much for participating in this Touchstone session. What we've talked about today really matters. Your decisions matter enormously to the quality assurance of the entire university. And let's be honest, we talk about so many things in our university that don't matter nearly as much as the selection of examiners, because every examiner we select assists our students. It assists the career of our students, but it also confirms that Charles Darwin is a place of excellence, achievement, accountability and transparency. So we build our international reputation one examiner at a time. Thank you so much for sharing your time today with me. Thank you for listening to Touchstones, our professional development program for graduate studies at Charles Darwin University.